All right, local recordings. Here we go. We're live. It is the day after Christmas, the big day where everybody goes stands in line and takes shit back that they don't appreciate from their family. That's what December 26th is. We thought we would jump on here and get a little live stream going. Me and JT, he's out in not Texas, Arizona.
Cartel land.
Arizona.
Phoenix, sorry.
Let me put that on mute right there. And we the thumbnail, I thought we were texting back and forth. I thought the thumbnail was pretty fitting about Americans being distracted. JT, you want to jump right in or you want me to go?
I'll go. America's distracted. You sit there and they've had lots of experiments. The mouse experiment, I sent you that video on. People get so opulent, so fat, they find things to complain about. I just think about Walmart. I left Walmart. There's a woman in there complaining about the TV, the 75-inch TV she was buying, and she couldn't, move well enough with the little out cart to move the front. So that was her problem, right? So Fat, Dumb, and Happy. At the end of it's called a book called The Fate of Empires, and everybody should listen to it. It's free. It's written by a British colonel. How empires on their tail end. We're so distracted. Let's just focus on the real simple one. Right now, we're distracted with Israel, Gaza. Everybody's got their sides. They're bitter. If you say anything either way, somehow you're an anti-Semite or anti-something. But the economy, the invasion of the southern border, they want you to keep not looking at. And I saw a clip, did on Locals, and it was about a woman coming out on MSNBC, and she goes, there's going to be a black swan event. So, black swan event, something you can't prepare for, like COVID, different things. You just can't, so atypical, you can't even plan for it. She's on there saying that. She goes, 2024, be a black swan event. I'm like, okay, so they're telling me there's going to be a black swan event. MSNBC gets all the information straight from, the administration and the agency, everywhere else. So you hear it, you go, okay, they're telling us that. And if they did have another black swan event right before the election, it would be, you have to just do it online. And how did we get there? Well, you just have internet ID and you can vote online, right? You see, now start connecting the dots, internet ID, vote online. And then if you say something about it, like the Dominion machine, you just say something like, I don't understand how the Dominion machines work. Why should there be any kind of top secret or anything? It's like, it takes a vote, it tallies it, adds a 1 in a spreadsheet. It shouldn't be complicated. But it's top secret. Even Congress can't even know about it. So of course there's going to be. So Fat, Dumb, and Happy, people are missing all these things going on right in front of them. Meanwhile, the Treasury is being robbed. People are laughing at you, and nobody does anything. We're worried about, I stand queers for Palestine. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think the whole thing with the distraction politics is, I think distraction politics, that's the name of the game now. There's so much other stuff going on behind the scenes. Just like last night, Merry Christmas, Joe Biden drops bombs in Iraq. We haven't been we've got troops in Iraq, but he drops bombs in Iraq and we don't hear anything about it. All you're hearing about is some protests in New York City, some people like protesting Palestine or pro-Palestinian stuff. Apparently they set the Christmas tree on fire outside of Fox News studio. That is the news. Come on. And then the other news you see all over TV is Taylor Swift cheering at a football game. That's not news to me, and probably not news worthy about other things that are happening. That lady, or the image that I put in that thumbnail, to me, that is typical American. Fat, dumb, happy, distracted. And they're only concerned whenever the cost or the price of Monster goes up, or the price of some ho-hos or some dum-dums, that goes up and affects them sitting on their couch. Whenever it's 4 for $1 cans of Pringles, everybody's happy. When the cost of Pringles goes up, man, what's going on? Joe Biden's ruining the economy. And that's where that image come from, is it's just that distraction. The number one thing that's important to me right now is the southern border. And you see all of these grifters on YouTube, on Rumble, on whatever social media platform, touting Israel, touting Palestine, touting Ukraine. Apparently Ukraine attacked a Russian ship. I don't care. None of those affect me. My neighborhood affects me. My neighborhood going to hell affects me. the back door to my country is wide open. And I think a lot of people are unaware, don't care. Maybe that ostrich mentality where they put their head in the sand, but their butt's exposed. That's me. That's the thumbnail. That's the distraction politics. Love to know what anybody thinks out there about distraction politics.
Let me put a nail in it, at least for my mental clarity.
Yeah.
We get things like that's pushed on Twitter, which goes down in MSNBC, proportionality in war. They went too far. Going too far means you were prepared. Overwhelming lethality against the enemy. If you want warfare, you let the dogs out. Dogs are going to do what they're trained to do. And you look at what Israel's doing, and I say, to me, I see successful warfare executed. You may not like it. You may hate Israel. You may love Palestine. All these things. But if you look at just from a purely, are they accomplishing their goals? Of course they are. And Hamas knew immediately when they did what they did to Israel. There's lots of tinfoil hat things I could agree with and see. They knew exactly the retort, what was going to happen. And so we're distracted by that. But like you say, the southern border, which affects the economy, and the border is worse every day. You see images come up and people just go, oh, whatever, it's not affecting me. Well, when your kid can't read or write because they spent 40% of the budget on English as a second language in the 5th grade, come talk to me. What else we got, Ben?
Next up, decay of society. If you've turned on the news lately, you've seen people dressed as bank robbers, the COVID mask, busting into every store you can imagine. I think there was a whole rash of robberies in California. They're shutting down drugstores. They're shutting down grocery stores. Targets are closing in bad neighborhoods. All of the Walmarts pulled out of downtown Chicago, like the rural urban areas of Chicago. And I think everybody got used to that anonymity of the COVID mask, and now they have used it for their own personal gain. What do you think? What have you seen?
Well, what I've seen, so I'm in a rural part of Southwest Virginia, not West Virginia. Rural.
Okay.
I go to a Lowe's. I need 10-2 wire. I go to the wire department. Now, this is a rural area. Everybody's Southern. All the convenience stores and fast food joints are staffed by people who look like me. So it's rural. And I go in and all the wires locked up. And I go, wire's big, right? I mean, it's not stuffing up your shirt. And I said to the guy, finally get a guy to come over. I said, need 10-2 wire. And I go, is there a rash of people stealing wire here? He goes, oh, no, it's not here. But all the Lowe's are doing it because of the parts of Northern Virginia. So they're locking wire up. We're talking wire to wire your house, your barn, whatever. So when you see that, and then I was in San Francisco at a wedding in August, staying in a nice area, and you see people walking around with Tyvek suits on and big pressure washers cleaning the streets from human shit. You go, okay, we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. And it's a problem the government cannot fix. I was talking to someone today, and I said, it used to be, Granny got old, you stuck her in the spare bedroom. Now we take Granny and shuffle her off because Medicare is involved or Medicaid's involved, shuffle her off to a nursing home. That's how we take care of Granny. Used to be the younger brother that was a scumbag could take care of, so the drug addict family had to take care of him. That's just what it was. There was no reason, even when I was growing up. Now we shuffle them off and say, well, the government should take care of them. We need more mental health services for people. That's not going to solve it. The government can't do it. Name one thing they're good at, spending other people's money on other people. They steal Milton Friedman. It's not going to work. Do people take responsibility for their own families, which I know this is a joke of me saying this, it continues on. So, that's my take. And by importing millions of people we don't know, it's Clower and Piven. And I'm sure we talked this last time, I did it in my head. It's Clower and Piven. We're going to break this system. People beg for more law enforcement. They'll beg for more subjugation. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, we're seeing it here. I see it here locally. I'm seeing more and more people wear the masks. And I think the way that the masks were introduced on everybody, it was just like, you will wear it or you're not going to go shopping, or you can't go to Walmart, or you can't go here. That was just thrust upon them. People got comfortable with it. And then just like anything, someone looks for, how do I benefit from this? And you see now people benefiting from it, from the masks. They go into a Walgreens, a CVS, whatever, Kroger's, and they just bash open everything. You see these flash mobs running into Macy's, Nordstrom's, malls, and they're benefiting from it. They were subjugated to it. They were persecuted with the mask. I mean, what happened to the My Body My Choice movement, right? That went by the wayside. My
Yeah,
Body
it's
My Choice.
reparations.
Yeah. And I think
Reparations.
that's what it is. So some of these inner city quote community leaders are even quoted as saying, these robberies, that's just a way for Nike to pay back this
Right.
group, And I think it's crazy. I think it's insane, but it seems to become the norm. And I mean, Lowe's, I got a buddy that's a general manager at a Lowe's. They had a guy run into the Lowe's, him and two or three other people, Latin Americans, or Latin, I doubt American, run in,
X.
stole like 4 chainsaws and just run out. There was a truck waiting outside. And one of their employees was going to go outside and try to get the license plate. Store manager stopped him and said, "Don't go outside. If you go outside, you'll lose your job." So, store employee just wanting to get the license plate, it's easier, it's better for the corporate, regime to just let them go. And that just seems like the norm now, the norm for society. Let them go, let them go, let them go. But the mom and pop stores probably not going to work out that well, even though mom and pop will probably get sued
Yeah, of
for
course.
defending what's theirs.
Yeah, mom and pop. I love this when they say, in particular, summer peaceful protests. You heard this on all the mainstream media. Well, buddy, BLM would say they're covered by insurance. Come on. Now, people have never owned a business or they just always been employed, always rented. You don't understand. There's a deductible, and your store not being open for 2 months, you're not getting paid for that. Most people don't have business interruption insurance. So you're not getting paid. It doesn't cover inventory. Maybe if you own the building, it covers the leasehold improvements inside the building if you don't own it. But your store is dying. You're not Walmart. You're not Amazon. So I love that was the excuse. Well, they've got insurance, man. I'm like, that doesn't work that way for mom and pop business. So they crush those. And then you try to go anywhere, you're relegated to going to Walmart. You try to go other places, and you see it's a long list. But even like the food trucks,
Yeah.
have a food truck in California. There's so much regulations to have a food truck. That was the point. Now, if you're legal, you don't have to do anything. Like you're saying, they break in, they come in and steal stuff. No problemo. What else we got?
Next up, I just saw this headline. Michelle Wu, the head of the CDC, was swatted on Christmas Day. It seems like swatting has become the norm. And for those of you that don't know what swatting is, it's basically you don't like your neighbor's having a nice party, family get together. You call the police and report some crime, some dangerous crime, and they bust in, SWAT team. I think Tim Pool, Tim Pool cast, he's been swatted, got 20 or 30 times to the point where the cops are like, is everything okay? What do you think about this? Do you think something needs to be done? I mean, I doubt anything will happen. I saw where Marjorie Taylor Greene was swatted, which I think is ironic. But what do you think about the whole swatting process? Did I lose you?
You there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you.
Hotel internet.
Oh, you got some hotel internet. For those of you who don't know, JT's on the road. He's doing some scouting down at the southern border in Phoenix, Arizona. But what do you think about swatting out there, JT? I don't know if you've ever been swatted.
No, I haven't, not to this point. Well, J6 people that are sitting in Kansas City, they can figure out who they were. They can find them in 2 seconds. We can't find the people who are committing, events that could cause somebody to lose their life. Swatting, for example. You don't want to overburden a local jurisdiction. We're trying to find that. But almost swatting should be akin to like bank fraud or, when you get the FBI involved, it's cross borders. I'm not saying I want more government intervention, but that should be easy to figure out who called, where they called from. And you can sit there and call. Now you get spoofers for phones, but when you call, they go, should I call you back at this number to a store? There needs to be something done because it's more prevalent, in particular now with this internet ID everybody wants, in particular Nikki Haley, Barack Obama, they all want it. You're going to get swatted nonstop. I mean, ultimately, you have to figure out a way to even conduct, okay, I'm going to do a video, but I'm going to do it over here. My house is here. I got to own by an LLC. It's a big fat mess is what it is. And I don't see us getting out of this mess because no one cares. Now, if it was swatted Nancy Pelosi, holy
Oh
mackerel,
God.
Hunter Biden was swatted. But it doesn't work that way for some reason or the other. You don't see Hassan Piker getting swatted. It seems to only
No.
go one way. That's what I do see. I think it's, the people who commit the act should be subject to severe penalties. And what those penalties are, I don't want more government intervention at all, but these people can't manage themselves. That's all I got on swatting. I mean, it's a significant problem. And that's why people don't want to use their full legal name on social media. Because there's lunatics. If you get any traction, they're going to come attack you.
Yeah, I think the whole thing was swatting. Just because two members of Congress were just swatted, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, something will be done about it. But in the past, because it didn't affect them, nothing will be done. It's the same way. If you want to fix VA healthcare, make Congress use VA healthcare. Make the Senate use VA healthcare. Once a problem starts affecting a legislator, an elected official, magically things get fixed. If all of I really wish the Speaker of the House, and this guy's turned out to be kind of a lame duck, in my opinion. I think if he wanted to really do something, he would mandate or make it mandatory for all members of Congress to go to the southern border for one day for a trip, a firsthand account. Because if you got all those people down there, not just AOC crying in front of the fence, but once it affects government, once it affects elected officials, then suddenly something happens. It's just like what was the guy's name? Rand Paul. He got attacked by his next door neighbor, and suddenly there became a level of security that increased, right? The Supreme Court, you can protest outside of their house. It doesn't matter. But if you do something to an elected official, a senator, a congressman, then we pass legislation. And funnily enough, most of you may or may not know, many of you would have probably lost your jobs if you didn't succumb to the schmaxine. But members of Congress, exempt. Members of Senate, exempt. So that's the way you kind of look at things, or the way I kind of look at it. Once you put some pain and some pressure points on elected officials, things happen. Something should occur where we get Congress, the House of Representatives, to convene at the southern border. It'd get fixed in a day. That's just my opinion. I got to know if you got anything else you want to add to that, go for it.
Yeah, I'd put something out on Twitter about Congress, all politicians should have their salary cut in half immediately. Their slush fund, which Congress I think gets 900,000, the Senate's maybe like $1.5 million, just to spend on whatever. They'll hire their idiot brother-in-law who do free work for them, something like that. That should be cut by 95%. Public servants. I love when they say, well, Joe Biden or Anthony Fauci served the public all these years. He's making more money he'd do in a regular job. He's not serving the public. Okay. I could see saying to somebody, yeah, that young Lance Corporal who's stuck in the desert for 18 months is a public servant, because that sucks. There's no amount of money to cover that 24-hour job. But a congressperson, man, woman, whatever, is getting all this money to sit on their ass and blow money, live by different rules. That needs to change, and it won't change. Like you're saying, just like the Obamacare does not cover Congress, administration, anybody. They're not subject to that. And they said why? Because people will leave if they're covered by this. What else we got?
Next up, billionaire, major Harvard donor, Len Blavatnik, has just canceled all donations to Harvard. He has donated $270 million to Harvard, just pulled the plug because of all the DEI and the pro-Palestine thing. What do you think about government funding to all of these places that are obviously much smarter than we are? Should we cancel all government funding with what they're doing?
I think there should be no government funding at all. That's why the price of tuition is going to skyrocket. First of all, government interjects themselves into an industry, the price goes up because people find a way to scam it. Just like when they were giving the COVID money out for people, there was all these scams. Just like the PPP money, or the PPP money was that with the wages, right? So
yep.
I don't know how familiar you are with that, but there's lots of ways to work that system. All sorts of fraud. Government gets involved, the prices go up. That's just how it works. I mean, so yep. I think they should be out of that education business. Now, private donors, Harvard's, look at the foundations for all these big universities, worth billions of dollars. Look where their money comes from. I mean, they make so much money. They're tax-free, akin to the NFL, mind you. They're not-for-profits. I think all of that, they don't need our government's money. They don't need the government to back their loans. If they want to loan the money themselves to their foundation to bring this person in to get a gender studies degree, awesome. I don't want to back their loans. It's not working because what we're doing is not working. Now, if I'm backing a loan for somebody for their college, I should have a say. Here are the degrees you can get. Here are the top 10 degrees in demand that have jobs. Here's the degrees we'll back. These other 11 through 950, I'm not backing that because there's no job. Just like if you say, I want to start a business, you walk into a bank and you say, here's my business plan. Here's my forecast for money. And you're going to lose money. I wouldn't give you the money as the banker. So I'm going to say, well, your business never makes any money, buddy. I'm not going to lend you that amount you're asking for. So why would I lend somebody a degree in African American studies when I know they're not going to get a job? They're not going to pay it back. Therein lies the thing, because banks in any other world, they say, show me a budget, a forecast, business plan. If it makes sense, they may lend money.
Yep.
But now we're just giving money to people because it's their human right to get a degree in lesbian dance theory. No, thank you. That's all I got.
Yeah, I got you. I think pulling the government funding from universities completely. I am 100% with it, because whenever I say government money, that's tax money. Government money is tax money. So I am funding an organization that probably the highest paid person at that university is the football coach, which is predominantly the highest paid coach. And it's garbage. I mean, like here in Arkansas, the football coach here makes $6 million a year. The team is horrible. He makes more than the governor, Sarah Sanders. Why should the football coach be the highest paid whatever? The other thing I find with some of these universities, and this could be something you want to talk about. Oh, let me hit that button there. Sorry, is these historically black colleges. I don't agree with funding that. Everybody wants equality, but yet we segregate universities for historically black colleges, or the Black College Fund, or we set aside so many scholarships for Black Americans. I haven't seen anything, or maybe I'm not aware of, just a sector of scholarships for white Americans, sector of scholarships for Asian Americans, sector of scholarships for Latin Americans, for, let's go even further with some Amish Americans. I haven't ever heard of an Amish American college fund. And if you want equality, these universities should all be on the same level playing field with some kind of salary cap, some kind of government funding cap. And if you come out and you start putting out some hatred and vitriol, like they're doing, some of this genocide politics, which a lot of them are pushing with that river to the sea crap, I say pull it all. And I'm really glad to see somebody pulling money out, because that's whenever it really happens. As soon as you hit a bottom line, things happened. Things happen. But it's really odd to see a university, Harvard, Yale, I think might be the two oldest in America, maybe Penn, Harvard, Yale, Penn, Dartmouth. It's all those Ivy Leagues. They're the oldest and most intelligent. But I agree with you. If you're not getting a degree in something in STEM that improves society, that kept you employed during the lockdowns, I'm done with you. You're on your own. You can get your own degree paid for on somebody else's dime. But that's all I got on that. If you got anything to wrap up on it.
Well, it should be, can you pay back this loan? Every place else in the world, how are you going to pay back this loan? And if I'm looking to lend you money, $250,000 to get a degree in African American studies at Cornell, you're never going to be able to pay back this loan. But they don't care because the government's backing the loan.
Yep.
So you and I are backing the loan. It's very, very simple. And people will go, well, they should get a degree. And yes, there's examples of people getting a degree that's worthless and going on, but there's more examples of people not paying it back.
Yep.
I mean, it has to stop. We can't afford. Now, that's just a little tiny baby leak in the Titanic. There's other huge leaks, but we got to start somewhere. Let me end on this. You could have a black entrepreneur start an all black scholarship, no problem whatsoever. If you had a white entrepreneur, Elon Musk's all white scholarship,
oh God,
he would be arrested. I mean, so that is a state of the way things work. What else we got?
Next up, now this one threw me a curveball. I normally like Tucker Carlson, but I don't know why or where the interview came with Kevin Spacey in character as Underwood. He did an interview with Kevin Spacey in character And I don't know where this goes. And I'd love to hear your take on this. I'm confused with Tucker. I have no idea what the hell he's doing.
I saw the 7-minute clip and I go, okay, where's the full video? Like, there's got to be something else here. Because he was doing the House of Cards bit. I go, okay, that's kind of funny. But Kevin Spacey's been accused, sued, settled for multiple essays of young boys. I mean, everywhere, right?
Yep.
So what does Kevin Spacey bring? Now, if Kevin's going to flip and say, here's Hollywood, I was part of it, that could be Tucker's shtick. But I was very confused. And I go, okay, is that so outrageous that Tucker's now on the outrageous side of media? It's so outrageous that he picks Kevin Spacey. That sounds like something MSNBC would do. I was very, very confused because I was waiting for the long interview, and I should have read some of the Twitter responses because, okay, it's funny, but Tucker's not immune to what's happened with Kevin Spacey. There's been YouTube videos where it's shocking, like very good documentary pieces where they just go, here's all the accusations. Now, someone's not guilty until proven innocent, but yet they are. Just like the 14th Amendment in Colorado. Well, Trump's off the balance because we said so. He's guilty because he's guilty. So it's very bizarre. I don't know what to make of it. And I don't know. I mean, I like what Tucker's doing. He's definitely not making an echo chamber bringing Kevin Spacey on. It's interesting. Now, Tucker is known to ask hard questions. So you'd ask the question, hey, Kevin, you got lots of boys that are saying you were doing nefarious acts to them when they were minors and not by their own choice even. So I haven't seen any of that. And so I'm just like you, very confused. That's all I got on the Kevin Spacey drama.
Here's my thing. There's very few people that can just pick up the phone and say, hey, I want to do an interview, and you go. And Tucker Carlson's one of them. I think Joe Rogan's one. I think maybe Russell Brand. I think those are like that top tier, hey, I want you to do an interview. Did like the 385 other people on Tucker's list, were they all busy? I mean, Kevin Spacey's really low on the totem pole for me for an interview. I mean, I now I've got this on good knowing or good information. Tucker just got back from Europe doing an interview with Julian Assange, and that's probably going to, if I'm Tucker, I'm in a bunker for a few days before I release that. But the interview with Kevin Spacey, I don't know if they're maybe like making another series of that show House of Cards, and this was like a skit for it. I don't know. But Tucker's done some weird stuff before. I mean, he had John Daly on, which is a legend. Kevin Spacey's weird. I see a comment in there. He's had Alex Jones. He's had Trump. He's had Vivek. He's had all these people. Kevin Spacey, I'm just like, what? The interview I would pay pay-per-view to watch is for Tucker Carlson to interview Hillary Clinton. And I know that an interview will never happen, but I would pay to see that interview. Is there an interview that you would like for Tucker to do, JT?
Well, I think part of the interview problem, sure there is, but hold on. I think part of it is to get the interview, you have to agree you're not going to ask certain questions.
Yeah.
And Tucker, so you have to say, okay, Kevin Spacey, come on, I'm not going to ask you these questions. Because like when we talk about doing stuff, talk about that CEO with the French Foreign Legion, I'm trying to dunk on him. There's questions everybody has. You had 6 years probably in a tier 2 unit. Why aren't you working a contracting job? GRS, I mean, something. So it's a question. And I saw the interview and it wasn't asked. So then I go, you could say, hey, I had a lot of questions I want to ask. I'd agree to not ask them. But it makes Tucker look odd. An interview I'd like to see with Tucker, there's lots of them, primarily on the left. But I don't want an argument. Just like, here's a real question people have, right? The real question is, Kamala Harris, when you come out and you talk in third person, why are you doing that? Then, I think she'd be interesting interview because she was cutting strong. And now she's like a 82 IQ or something. It's very, very complicated to figure out. Somebody on the left, I prefer that. I don't want to echo chamber. I think he may be overdoing. He's just releasing so much that it's becoming like Tucker Whiplash. Like too much is maybe too much here. And that interview, I didn't understand if there's something. And if he had peppered it with hard questions at the beginning, I'd go, okay, here's where he's going with it. But I just go, okay, it's a funny skit, I guess. But there's a lot of holes here. I mean, in particular, Tucker's came hard against the Chomos. That's all I got.
Oh, here's new breaking news I just saw coming out. Colorado Supreme Court Justice victim of swatting. Something will be done about the swatting right now. And I follow the Citizen Free Press, and Supreme Court Justice in Colorado victim of swatting. So now something will be done about the swatting thing. Let me see. Next up topic. Joe Biden's been on vacation. Guess what? He's back at the White House today, and he's about to go on vacation for a week to the Virgin Islands. What do you think? Is Joe been on vacation too long?
I think we've made our politicians into royalty, and it's been going on a long time, but it's too much now. It's too much where they're flying on Air Force One. I mean, if you did this for your employer, you took your vacation and your employer paid for it, it hit your W-2. You have to pay for that benefit. I think there should be an allotted amount that we pay for, and the rest of it's like, bro, you can stay at the White House. If you can't stay at the White House or Camp David or something where I got secured, now you're going to fly to Barbados. Secret Service got to come in 4 or 5 jets, the cars, never ending. And it, for somehow or the other, we'll call a governor when they've been out of politics, they serve 1 term. Well, Governor so-and-so, Congressman so-and-so. They did 2 terms in Congress. We made these people into royalty, and the power seat needs to change until we say, hey, why are you spending your time in Congress? You represent the 5th District of Texas. Get to Texas, shitbag. There's no reason you have to be in Congress to vote. Today's world, stupid. And so I think you need to demand from your representatives, government, you represent me here. Why are you sitting there? Because I don't see any bill you've proposed. They could say, well, I'm working on your behalf. And what have you done? What bill? What have you proposed? I see nothing. Nothing's changed except your wallet's got fatter. You got fatter. And you're flying to Paris for the climate accords, and you represent me in Illinois. Until people say, this is not royalty. And they get treated like unbelievable royalty, like Bernie Sanders when he's flying around running for president in 2016 had frog wah on the menu. I mean, flying a private jet, everybody's paying for it. Veal. I mean, the list is long, and people just go, he represents the people. He's about the people. Till you say, no, absolutely, no, enough with the trips to the Caribbean on our dime. I don't care what you are. They're not public servants anymore. They flipped it around. Everybody just goes, oh, thank you, Congressman or Governor Christie, for example. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think the same exact way. I don't know what Joe needs a vacation from. I don't know. He's been at Camp David for 4 or 5 days with Hunter, and they all flew in on Marine One. What exactly is going on that he needs to go to the Virgin Islands? Like, I don't get that. You've got Putin wanting to talk a ceasefire. The southern border is wide open. There's some other problems that maybe you go and think about, or you go and take care of. Maybe just fix one and then go on vacation. But he's been on vacation or outside of the White House, outside of office, 271 days of his presidency so far. 271 days. Who is, when he's gone, is Kamala doing this? I mean, is she pulling the strings? Is she running the Oval Office? I don't know what's going on. Something's not right. Something's amiss. Maybe he's got to go get some more adrenochrome in the Virgin Islands. I don't know. Maybe he's getting charged up for this big campaign push. I don't know. All I know is the last 3 years, Trump's been on an eternal campaign tour, and I haven't seen Joe do any public speaking events, or the ones that he has, he's kind of like turned and walked the wrong way off stage. His press secretary shuts him down. I don't know what's going on in the Virgin Islands that Joe needs to run off for a vacation following a vacation. But you're right. They get treated like royalty. It's really strange. It's completely odd when you've got working people like us, struggling to pay the bills. Next up, I got a good one. This will make everybody feel better right here. And I'll jump into this one first. This is straight out of CNBC, so America's top tier of news coverage. They have just released the U.S. has avoided recession in 2023 and they're predicting a bright future for 2024. I don't see the economy getting much better in 2024. They're saying it's going to predict a soft landing since we avoided a recession. By any normal documentation or definition of a recession is you have two downturns or two drops in GDP two consecutive quarters, which we had in 2023, but for some reason we didn't call it a recession. And I think what's happening or what's happened during the Biden administration, we changed the definition of the meaning of things. We changed the rules to avoid it. It's like playing a game and you change the rules. Touchdowns don't count 6 points, they're 4 points. But if we have the ball and we score, then it's 9 points. And that's what it seems like, and that's all I've got on the recession. What are your predictions for recession coming up? I think we've been in a recession. I'm no financial expert.
Well, when we've been in a recession, clearly, I mean, you didn't even say stagflation.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, most people's wages haven't gone up. They talk about wages. Oh, the hourly person at Subway's wages went up. Most people's wages have not gone up commensurate with inflation. That's just the bottom line. When I did some on locals, and they were talking, it was MSNBC talking how great things were. Stock market's up. Most people don't own stock. Average Joe Ham and Egger maybe has a little stock to their 401k or being stolen from anyway. They don't own stocks. It's kind of irrelevant. It means nothing. Now, it does affect a lot of things if stock prices tank, because then people get really worried. But ultimately, that doesn't mean anything. So we've card shuffled the deck to keep the economy propped up till 2024 November, till Biden gets elected again. And that's what I think is going to happen, because Trump, I don't know, will be on the ballots and all this time fighting to stay on the ballot. And again, until I see something where people are pushing, the midterm results tell me that people are motivated. I've seen nothing to change that based on what the midterms were. And, so we had a recession. Two negative quarters of GDP is a recession by all measures. It's been a thing forever. If you took an economics 101 class, that was a thing. Yeah, there's other markers, but for the purposes of colloquialisms among common people, that's been it. They just go, well, that's not it anymore. Here's the real definition. And they just keep saying it over and over. And so even basic shit like a recession, they can lie about, change definitions. People just go, whatever. Joe Biden's got my best interest. You can take the left and make them pro Pfizer, pro big business that quickly. We had Occupy Wall Street 10 years before. You have to say, oh my God, this tech is just like Ted K talked about. When it came too far, too fast, used to manipulate people. And TikTok's not the problem. I don't trust Meta. It's the whole tech format. It's unregulated by people themselves, not by government. It's the problem. Until people get out, read a book, get outside, do something, we are screwed, man. It's not getting any better from what I can see. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It is not getting better. I don't know the cost of anything has dropped. I really don't think the cost of anything has dropped. So here's one, and this one caught me off guard. Israel has video footage of Hezbollah and Hamas launching weapons, missiles from a mosque. They are firing RPGs from a mosque. Does that change the game? Does that change the rules when they're using these, quote, sacred safe havens to places of worship? What do you think about that? And there's video. You can go find it on Twitter. I am not putting it on here because that is like nuke mode, but you can go find that. The IDF has video footage of Hezbollah firing some RPGs from a mosque. What do you think? Does that change the rules?
Well, I think the Geneva Convention says it does change the rules. As in, we talked about the hospital situation when Hamas was underneath hospitals, fighting from hospitals. I think people quoted Geneva Convention. I'm not a fan of it. To me, I don't think it matters, Geneva Convention or not. If somebody's firing from a religious place of worship, it's no longer a religious place of worship. It can be taken over. They could be part of it. They could be co-collaborators. Bottom line, you start firing weapons from that in any warfare, that's a target. Now, you can see where that goes. French press roll up. There's a dead imam. Look at these are peaceful, just religion of peace. Now you got people that are bad people that are using that as cover, just like they've used children. It's not this group. It's been historically that's the way it's been done. Go back to World War II. I mean, go back in history. People have done that, but it wasn't documented. Now the left will lose their mind if you actually, predator droned a mosque when you have fire coming out of it, and they would say, "We just can't do that. It's against international law." That we would hear that, but they burned a church near in Washington D.C. Summer peaceful protests. That was okay.
Oh yeah, St. John's Cathedral. Yeah,
but yet, hold on. Now we can't. If we're taking incoming fire from a place of worship, a mosque, that's a problem. So we got to change our way we think about this. We're fighting an atypical asymmetrical warfare. Until you get on board with these people, they know exactly the rules. I mean, you've heard before. I'm sure you've heard. Hey, you're an American. You can't do that. They know our rules of engagement. They learned quickly in the desert. Here's what we can do when we can't do it. So it's not hard. It's like a game. Here's what I should take advantage of this situation because their rules are such that they're stuck in it. That's all I got.
Yeah, let me see here. I think when they start using these holy places as bunkers, and the Israelis have said for a while that these hospitals were being used for something other than in taking care of people. If they have video footage of this, which I'm sure they do, I mean, it's on Twitter. I saw it. And for most of you, that's where you get real news. And that's usually where most news stations get news stories. If they are launching munitions from mosques, this changes the rules. This changes everything. And I think Netanyahu, I'm not a big fan of us sending any more money to Israel, but I think you've said in the past, you wanted Eddie Gallagher to be Eddie Gallagher. I want the Mossad. I want the IDF to be the IDF. I want them to be Mossad. I want them to do exactly what they're trained to do. Gloves off, take the collar off and let them go finish the job. That's what I would have, I think Hillary Clinton said, finish them, I'm in this instance, let's trot Hillary out and say, finish them. Flooding these tunnels, go for it. And for anybody that's really freaking out about flooding the tunnels, there are tunnels on our southern border. I mean, a lot of them, but nobody's talking about it. So I'm all for it. And if this is what it is, launching, munitions from a mosque, Israel is about to, there's no rules. There's no rules. And I don't have any problem with Netanyahu doing whatever he needs to do and fixing whatever he needs to fix. You got anything else for that?
Intentions. Yeah, Israel came out and said their intentions. Said we're at war. We're not stopping until this war has been accomplished. So they set a goal. They've been very clear on it. And people don't understand it because they watch the U.S. and Western countries fight a war, change rules of engagement, back off, change, do this, don't do that, take this hill, set up a fob in a valley in Afghanistan. Stuff that made me no sense, but that was how we did it. And love Israel, hate Israel. It doesn't matter. If you're looking at it from a tactical standpoint, optics, not good. But the optics, they're not worried about. They said, we're eradicating this threat, period. It could be lots of reasons you hate it. But from a purely strategic standpoint, you have to say, these people are playing around. And we got 20 years of us playing around when the 19 hijackers, none of them were from Afghanistan or Iraq, and we're playing around with that. And our threat, even as it was told, was Afghanistan. We invade Iraq. So you see what Israel's doing, you have to say, well, these people, they're playing to win. That's all I got on that.
Yep. I agree. I completely agree. I just looked and everybody's favorite doctor is trending on Twitter all of a sudden. Anthony Fauci is trending on Twitter, and I hope everybody goes and check this out. It's a video, kind of a hidden video of Anthony Fauci laying out a plan to start the AIDS process. And it's a very interesting video. What is your take? Why haven't we seen Fauci? Where's he at? Where's he at? What's he doing? Where's his grift at right now?
Well, the crime's been committed. You can't trot him out. because even though he's got candles of him as a saint, there's way too many people who go, wait a second, I took it. I have never seen the results for how it worked before I took it, like the trials, like a normal drug study. I haven't seen those. Well, because they didn't exist. They exist on a limited basis. JFK was talking, or RFK was talking about it. People just go, because that crime is so big that it would, every Western government would crumble, knowing the facts. So they're just trying to make him go away. Like that needs to disappear. It didn't happen. COVID will be an afterthought, like the flu. The money has been made. Treasury's been robbed. Because if you ask as a reasonable person, you said, I just want to see the trials, how it worked for somebody in my age and my condition. And they go, shut up, racist. What are you, a vaccinator? Like, no, I'm not. Actually, I'm just curious. I'm a curious person. Shut up, take it. You go, well, I've taken everything. I was in the military. I took a lot of things. Pokes all the time. I used to get with air guns, believe it or not. Like they used to do to animals. They'd line stuff, air guns each side. No problem. Just show me that. I got some neurologic stuff. Shut up, racist. I'm like, no, you're to kill Granny. I'm like, I just really understand. So people have come up to that realization. Like I took it. I never asked because it's unprecedented. That something didn't go through drug trials. And so they're giving it to me. They thought, well, it's FDA approved. They missed the key element that is emergency use. People go, oh, I don't think you can trot him out without people saying they're really upset. Like even people had nothing happen to them, no negative effects. They go, I'm confused here because I thought it was FDA approved. And that's who's blessing it, yet it wasn't because it's never been done before. I don't think you can trot him out anymore. I mean, Michelle Lewinsky, she's gone. Anthony Fauci gone. He's got his $50 million, bought a house on the Hudson River somewhere, fat and sassy. It's tough to trot him out. And during the AIDS epidemic, a lot of people on the left didn't like him too much, let's call it. Because I remember him. I remember that time.
Yeah.
Bad guidance from our own government.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think with Fauci, him trending on Twitter is not good for certain people. Like you said, if the real research came out, there's going to be some, what they call them, the Nuremberg trials. I mean, legitimately, there are questions to be answered. What I would like to happen, and I know this is me just like daydreaming, if Anthony Fauci came out with something that you put in your body that helped or fixed this whole alphabet movement, do you think he would be well received if he said, hey, if you take this and you were a guy and now you're a woman, you can now start having babies? Or if you were a woman and you get the surgery to become a man, now you'll start creating, sperm or testosterone. Where's that at? Do you think it would be received by those same communities if Anthony Fauci came out and said, hey, if you were a guy and you had the surgery, I've got a schmaxine for you, and now you can get pregnant? Do you think anybody would believe him? I mean, we believe so much other stuff.
I do.
You think people would believe him? I kind of do too.
I think people, they've already said, there's people in this group, I try to touch on this too much here, but they've already said, oh, there's been situations where there's been a uterus transplant. Well, it was on a woman in Sweden.
Yeah.
It wasn't successful. We can't get a liver to stick. A kidney's hard to get to stick. So now we're talking about doing things that just don't work. And in theory, Elon Musk loves this transhumanism. Fauci could come out with anything, and there'd be a certain group, 30% of the country loves him. Trump could come out with something that saved every trans person under the sun, and 50 or 40% of the country would hate him. So it doesn't matter because the media has already crafted the narrative, and the narrative is what it is. It's not changing. Now there is the bottom line. Until people get outside of that, people watching here are great people. But they're not the people we really need to reach. We need to reach that middle group, and we're not allowed to by the green-haired 24-year-old interns at Google, Meta, fill in the blank, including Twitter. Legal and lawful doesn't mean reach. That's what your woman said. It doesn't mean you get any reach. So you can be talking like the meme of the boomer talking to the clouds, yelling at the clouds. That's what we're doing on most of these platforms nowadays.
Yeah.
If you don't follow the narrative. That's all I got.
I think you're totally right. And that's about all I got. I think we'll go through some of the comments. The one thing you mentioned about with Twitter, I saw a thing on Twitter, somebody I follow, and he did like this little test experiment, and it was very interesting. He took he made a post, and it said F Italy. It was fine. He had a post that said F Germany, fine. F France, fine. F USA, fine. And he put F Israel, fine. And then he put F Gaza, fine. And then he put F Palestine. It got community notes. So Elon is this Don Quixote for free speech, but yet there are still implements and still tools and people behind the scene that are pulling strings on Twitter. And
Let me
people
tell you
can
my
believe.
take on Elon.
Yeah, go
Elon
for it.
wants X, the platform that does everything for everybody, right? It's what he wants.
Yep,
He said that. And he wants us to
World's
pay for
Town
it.
Hall or something. Yeah,
So right now, the great place to buy some information about how people interact is Twitter. You get all this
yep,
information. So Twitter's an investment for the other platforms, right? That's what he wants. America's Town Hall. So what does he want? He wants information. He's a businessman. None of the implications of his platform affect him ever. I'm not against Elon because I'll take what I can get. But I don't think he's America's free speech guy. How better to know your enemy, let them talk aloud and kind of put them into your algorithm, your database, than let people just say what they want. If you ban them, you don't know. So you get an idea of the person. And I think that's where this goes is bigger. It's a longer 2 or 3 year plan where the internet of everything is on X. You can buy your t-shirts, you can buy your Amazon, you can do your live streams, you can rant in the corner. Ultimately, that's where this goes. That's his plan. He doesn't care about you, but I'll still take what I can get from Elon while we can get it. I'm going to look at it short term, but I don't think he gives two shits. The people were like, Elon's going to be great, and they turned on him. I'm like, the guy's a businessman. He's not going to give away 44 billion, of which he probably got maybe a couple billion invested. He's got banks involved, other investors. And the CEO is the test. Legal and lawful, okay, it doesn't mean you get reach. That's what she said. I know personally. People have sent me screenshots or videos. They searched for me on there. They could find me. Whatever. That's just the nature of this thing. That's what I think about Elon. I'm not against the guy. I'll take what I can get. Again, it's better than the draconian measures in which YouTube does it. But that is, I'm not going to kid myself and start smoking the hopium on Elon Musk. He's not a businessman.
yeah.
All of his money comes from SpaceX. The government says, think SpaceX is gone, buddy. We're putting somebody else. Finds a reason. DOJ, you've heard about they peppered us. DOJ can investigate Musk. Musk understands that. He can't leave that world of SpaceX. So no politician, no Elon Musk, no one's going to save you from the people, the enemy inside the gates. You got to team up with the people around you. I won't preach anymore, but that's my 2 cents on that.
I think what Elon did, you can't buy stock in X. You can't. So the guy that's apparently the savior for free speech doesn't allow an investment into the company. You can't buy shares in Twitter. Like, you can't do it. So if you're so free speech that you won't allow the general public to own a part of it, there's very few businesses in America you can't buy stock in. And Twitter's one of them. And it's controlling so-called free speech. Does that make him like the czar of free speech? I mean, I like a lot of what he's done. And when you're so hated by so many on certain sides of the aisle, it kind of makes you compelling. It's kind of like Trump. If you're so hated by the wrong people, it kind of makes you a little right. If you're so hated by so many, it's compelling. People are drawn to you, kind of like a bug light. And I think that's what it is. But because Twitter used to be this safe haven for it was kind of like the leftoid hangout, right? Everybody goes there and makes these mean tweets, but it's not anymore. And he owns everything. And it's really ironic that everybody.
Now remember, step back a few. I think Elon with SpaceX is his primary source of revenue, huge government contracts.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's just controlled opposition. They've given him latitude, given him a leash, but he knows he can't go too far off the leash. I mean, let's be completely honest. Like Alex Jones was not controlled opposition. That's why they nuked him. If you get completely nuked, you don't know your boundaries. He knows his boundaries. Because remember, SpaceX is the money, and SpaceX is where it's at. So he's not going to exceed that. And anybody who thinks it's not about the money with him is fooling themselves. They can take everything away from him and use AJ as the example. I mean, he's not Elon Musk level, but use people who've been eviscerated from the map, taken off the discussion.
Yeah.
He is way too far up. He's got way too many government contracts that he can't be replaced, or he can be replaced. He knows that. He's not foolish. Now, again, I'm still happy he's doing it, but I'm not kidding myself that he's going to be this great savior of free speech, because this is not true. I mean, we don't speak freely very often unless you're with your friends. You go anywhere, you kind of curtail what you're going to say. Because if you say something enough about people of color, you become a racist. You comment on somebody. I put a screenshot on Twitter and it said something about the small hat people in Hollywood. And they went to the history, how the people came from New York to Hollywood. And I'm like, how's this video on YouTube still? I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Because you can't speak about those people because they have cover. Now you can't speak about Dylan Mulvaney. They have cover. So we're all censoring our speech to be able to communicate on these platforms, to include Twitter. Unless you're on the far left, like YouTube, you're a Son Piker, Ethan Klein, you can say whatever you want. No problem. Yeah. They got cover. So I see Elon's controlled opposition, and I'll take it. But his bread and butter comes to SpaceX. He's not going to lose that over you, Joe Smith in Kentucky, going haywire about free speech and being anti-Semitic too far, even though it may be free, legal, and lawful. He's not going to allow that. That's my take on the situation there.
Yeah. I'm going to go through some of the comments. I saw some comments back and forth. I can't read all of them, but a lot of people were up at the top when we first started talking about marijuana and how a lot of the dispensaries here in the United States are owned by the Chinese government. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I'm not a consumer, but
well, I can tell you the marijuana is interesting. I don't know what's changed, but I do know when last time I was into one, it was cash. Didn't have banking. Remember, it's federally illegal. So how do you bank with this?
Oh, that's right.
At one point, you couldn't use a debit or credit card. You'd use cash. Then ATM machines are all getting this cash.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I heard somebody say that changed, but that was a long time, cash only. Interesting problem to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Federally illegal. Is it owned by the Chinese? I don't know. Why wouldn't they invest in it? I mean, the Chinese are investors. You could say it's Chinese owned. It's not Chinese developed. Just like I think Smith's Foods, who's the biggest producer or slaughter of pork, is Chinese owned. It's not Chinese developed, but they just come in and buy it. They're sitting on all these U.S. dollars. Why not marijuana? Why not diversify? Just like the cartel. It's like the mob diversified. Yep. So that wouldn't surprise me. And I would not go because it's Chinese owned, because Chinese invested in dispensaries, just like people from the Middle East often invest in 7-Elevens, which is a true thing. I know people who are up in that world. I know people who have big money who lend to people of their same nature for them to own a store. They start with one, they end up with 5. American dream, man. Not fighting it, but what's a Chinese investment? What's an American investment? I don't know that I trust Blackwater. Not Blackwater, sorry. BlackRock. More than I distrust the CCP.
Yeah.
So to me, if I'm looking at them, they're both equally don't have my best interest at heart. I think BlackRock tries to hurt me more than the CCP does. And
here's a good comment. Here's another good comment from Stone Manson. Says Taylor Swift gets attention at the NFL football games because her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, is the new poster child for the Schmack-scene. Do you think, I think he's onto something.
Yeah, he did. I was watching it. An ad came up with him in it. And I go, oh, Mr. Pfizer. And I go, oh my God, it's a Pfizer thing. And they were pushing, he had 2 Band-Aids on, getting 2 pokes at once. And I go, Mr. Pfizer, just making that bank. And I would see, the way Pfizer got carte blanche, you realize you hear about people, migrants from Mexico come across the border.
Yep.
And you hear they don't get the poke. And you go, why? Well, Mexican nationals don't have 100% immunity from Pfizer. In other words, Mexico didn't sign on to 100% immunity for Pfizer. Neither did India. So you go, why did India, 1.5 billion people, sign on to the Pfizer deal? Because they said, no, we're not giving you unlimited liability. Neither Mexican nationals. There's a lot of parts to this, which is very fascinating if you drill down, which basically, I'll save you the time. You're getting the big shaft on the flupus, the stink pink. That's what's happening. So I don't trust BlackRock more than I trust the CCP. Because BlackRock's pushing an ESG score. CCP to my knowledge, is not. So they're both equally enemies, but one's probably a bigger enemy than the other, which is a sad place to be, honestly. When you start thinking about it.
Another good comment in here, and it's obviously not one of the angry military Reddit guys, says Jameson's a smart dude, friggin' brainiac. And I think that's a great compliment for you. But I don't think you and I are much different than anybody else. I think we just kind of maybe look at things from a zoomed out lens. I mean, I'm no rocket scientist. I don't assume you're a rocket scientist.
No.
What makes it appear like we are, I don't know, smarter than the average MSNBC host?
Well, you got to be articulate. Here's the thing: you got to be articulate all this stuff, right? I know guys that got a lot of information, but they don't have articulate it on a camera on social media. I mean, that is not something people want to do, right? Get in front of a camera, live no less. One thing to record a video, we can cut it up, fuck around.
Yeah,
you got to spin on this live. I got no production assistant, no one's in my ear saying, "Here's what to say, JT." Neither are you. So that's where it becomes different in what we're doing here, live. You're bringing up stuff I don't know. We didn't even talk about.
No, we don't.
Oh,
no.
Shit. So
no,
you got to be a little studied on. You got to be a little studied on the matter, and you got to be articulated. So I know a lot of guys are really smart, but they don't want to do social media. They don't do the nonsense, and then live becomes there is no editing out the dumb in you. You can't. You can fix the dumb with an edit and B-roll. You can't fix the dumb on a live stream. That's why we're trying to do it live. So it's real. We're both studying information. And listen, I want to believe, okay, I'm totally, my tinfoil hat's so engaged. I'm missing the point. Things are going great. These Sudanese doctors are really contributing to the economy. I want to see that. I want to see that a 10-year study that shows that people who cut off their junk are happier than they were. And they come out and go, you know what? I love you. I'm happy. And I see them walking the street. They just go, hey, I just want to be friends. I go, wow, I was so wrong. I want to believe that. But I also want to believe that us going Desert Shield, Desert Storm was going to do something beyond. I knew at the time it was gas prices. I wasn't foolish. I got that. I knew exactly why we were there. And I was a young man. So I can extrapolate that out. And I don't need, I knew that. We talked about it. But gas needs to be cheap. Now, if you bring it up, you go, we didn't even get cheap gas out of 20 years in the desert. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, it's definitely between us.
Maybe that's why Biden bombed Iraq last night. Maybe he's trying to lower gas prices again.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If we took Iran and they said, listen, our gas to be cheap, we're taking the oil fields, I'd go, okay, fine, cool. I mean, quite frankly, that is, and people who say they don't feel that way are liars. People who say, oh my God, I care about the Iranian person living in, pick the city, are lying. People who say they care about Gaza, they're lying. Unless they got a family member there. People who say, I stand with the troops, thank you for your service, don't care unless you got somebody who's been affected by a deployment, TBIs, PTSD, because they can't feel it. It's like me saying, I understand what it's like to wake up as a 35-year-old NFL lineman. I don't know. Man, it looks brutal, man. I don't know because I'm not a 35-year-old ex-NFL lineman. Mm-hmm. So the compassion part, that's what I hate about 2023. It's going to be 2024 is the fake compassion. And I can smell it 1,000 miles away. So I stand with Ukraine. Sure. Send over your son. Talk to me then. Send over yourself. Talk to me then. That's how much you stand with it. Once you send over your own blood to fight, I go, okay, I'm listening to you. Somebody could be a complete lunatic, but if they're passionate about it and they've committed and got skin in the game, then I go, I want to talk to you because I find that fascinating. But most people, it's just all talk. It's all bullshit. Enough there. Enough of a rant on that. But that's what drives me insane when I hear, I use the quartering, for example. Oh, it's not a big deal. The 12-year-old's transitioning or doesn't comment on it. Then the surrogacy. Oh, my God, surrogacy. Because he's got a vested interest somehow or the other. Surrogacy's
that's right.
I heard somebody say his sister had to get a surrogate or something. Okay, I get that. You're passionate about it because it affected you. But cutting the balls off for 8-year-old or 12-year-old doesn't affect you, so you don't talk about it. But that is how everybody reacts. But when you see people on these big platforms, you think they're different, just like you and me. The bigger you are, the more you've got people in your ear saying, don't say this, buddy. And they start offenses. And I never had anybody in my ear saying, don't say that. Did in the comments. And then I got smacked around by Google, and now I make nothing from it. But anyway, lesson learned.
Yeah. Well, JT, that's all I got, man. And for those of all of you tuning in and watching, like JT was saying, him and I very rarely talk during the week. We send some cryptic messages back and forth. Like, hey, what do you think about this? He sent me that video about the mice Very interesting. I sent you the thing about the gumball, the population gumball stuff. I'll
Yeah,
put
that was
links
good.
to both of those videos in the description of this video.
Yeah,
We'll drop some chapters in there. Go ahead.
Tim Pool says something, and I think it works. Share the links on other platforms. If you
Yeah.
like what you're seeing, you think it's worthwhile, you think we're complete dumbasses, even better, share that link,
Oh yeah.
timestamp. No, just don't share the link. Share the timestamp section where you go, hey, here's what this guy's saying. He's a complete dumbass. Or
Yep.
here's this guy saying, interesting concept. Share those out because that does matter. I don't want you, sharing out from minute 1, like who are these jackasses? But if it's minute 33 and 12 seconds, and you go, listen to this, because you can share it that way. And you go, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. And then you dig down. That person you shared it with, they dig down in their own world and they go, I didn't know about Clower and Pivot. Interesting. I didn't know about the mouse experiment. How's that playing out? Because we're all being used. At the end of the day, it's just like Saul Alinsky, I said, Saul Alinsky, rules for radicals. Understand that. That's how your enemy's fighting against you. And we're all fighting about nothing when you and me, everybody watching, has everything in common. That's all I got, my friends.
Yep, that's it, guys, gals. There's only last time I checked, there was only 2 genders in my house, so I'm going to assume there's probably only 2 genders in the chat room.
Gals, wait, there's one that says guys, gals, non-binary pals. She's like the Aussie something, rainbow hair.
Oh yeah. I always think that whole alphabet line, it goes LGB, B means binary, which is 2. And then they just add enough that they needed a plus sign. They kind of lost me after that one. But with that being said, I'm going to shut it down. You take care.
All right, my friends.
And thanks for everybody checking in. Really appreciate you guys. I love some of the names. Turd Ferguson. I don't remember what that movie's from, but he says, don't get me started on Ukraine. Yeah, maybe next time. If you guys have any things that you want us to talk about, leave it in the comment section. We're always looking for things that if there's something that's going to trigger you or you got questions about, or maybe some information we don't know, we're just 2 dumb boomers. We're not as intelligent as these Gen Z guys and gals. I didn't go to Harvard. I went to the School of Hard Knocks in the United States Navy, and JT's a Marine. So we're dumbasses. We're dumbasses. That's it. JT, you take care. I'm going to hit in the stream here. Thanks a lot, everybody.